How's everyone doing? Welcome to our new webinar about top features of margin trading. My name is Kevin. I'm a VIP manager, all right, here at IK Option. It's great to have you guys. Before we continue, make sure you send, where you're from, your country in the chat. We're all super interested to know who's participating. We're all super stoked to have you guys here, to talk about this new feature that we have to optimize your trading strategies, to make you go further with your capital, to make your trading strategies more and better, to help you with some new plans to develop your capital, to further on your investment plans. All right, you guys can see here some people from South Africa. Love South Africa. From the Philippines also. Whenever I go to Asia, I want to know Philippines. Someone from Lebanon. Welcome everyone from Lebanon. All right, guys. Hope you're all comfortable. Let me know if there's any problem that you cannot hear me, or if there's any problem with the sound or image. All right, you guys. We'll get right down to it. Try to solve it. Now, let's get down to business. All right. Let's put on the presentation, guys. Let me share my screen with you guys. Just a moment. All right, guys. So, as I mentioned, today we'll be talking about some top features of the new platform that we're offering you, all right, which is called margin trading. Now, margin trading will basically allow you to go further by compromising less shares of your capital, all right? So basically, what you will need to do, what it will allow you to do is to put less to open larger transactions, all right, in the platform. So before we continue, it's very important. We always like to remind you, about the risks that are involving in trading. So I would ask you to first, before we continue, very important, read the disclaimer below about the inherent risks that are involved with trading. All right, guys, very important that everyone understands that trading is a risky subject. It's very important that you have a risk planning, that you have a risk strategy, all right, not to be caught off guard. All right, you guys, very important, just as you start trading, to have a risk strategy, all right, you guys, and to understand, the risks that are implied within trading. All right, guys. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds. Make sure, please, you read and you understand the disclaimer below that is related to the risks involved with trading. All right, guys? See people also from Congo. Nice. Pakistan. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you guys here. From India, from Nigeria. Welcome, everyone from Africa. So let's proceed, guys. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about top features of our margin trading. So it's some new features within our platform that allow you some new functionalities and that allow you to go further with your invested capital. All right, guys? So before we continue also, let me just remind you guys to keep your questions to the end. All right? So if you have any questions, make sure you note them down, you write them down. You can write them on chat. There's a moderator also monitoring the chat. He'll keep your questions. We'll be able to address all of them in the end at once, all right? So if you have any questions, make sure you don't forget them. Write them down somewhere. Write them down in the chat. We'll keep them to the end of the presentation. And once we reach the end, we'll have some time to address all your questions, all right? Or if we don't have time to address all of them, we'll try to address the questions that are more common, the questions that are more important that we would notice from all users, all right? So let's continue, guys. Now, we have developed, IQ has developed a new operating platform that's called margin trading that allows you, to deal with larger contracts with a minimal investment that's held as margin, all right? Now, the margin, as you will see throughout the presentation, is held as a collateral by the broker to maintain your position open. All right, differently from your old engine where you would invest an amount and that amount would be locked. Now you'll be able only to put put aside a small amount held as collateral, right, guys? And we'll see on practical terms what will be the major differences of this in the new platform, and how this will enable you to further sophisticate and to further, bring your investments to another level, improve your quality, improve your strategy of trading. All right, you guys? So the larger the contracts, the higher the potential return alongside with the risk. Yet again, it's never enough to mention, it's very important always to remember that trading comes with risks, and as a general rule, the bigger the risk, the better the reward. But it's very important to keep in mind to have a risk strategy, to know what the risks are of the transactions that you're opening, of the transactions that you're getting into. All right, guys, it's a very, very important part of trading. All right, so the larger the contracts, the higher the potential of returns, but never forget there's also the risk factor that has to be considered. All right, guys? So before we continue, to keep things interesting, to keep you guys motivated, we want to propose you guys, a practical case that you guys can think. Most of you that are used to the old platform will come up with some answers throughout the platform. We'll show you how this new engine is an improvement in regards to, let's say, this practical example that we're going to give you guys. So what I want you guys to think about right now is, if you had invested all your available funds, let's say of $1,000 on a stock like Tesla, and your position is already in profit. So basically, you open a position by buying Tesla stocks. You open a position with $1,000. You see that the market is going according to what you planned. It's behaving according to what you were expecting it, all right, to do. So if you went long, let's say the prices are going up, you already have some unrealized profit, all right, of that position. At the same time, when you still have this position open, you spot a great opportunity to invest in Apple, but you were out of funds. What would you do in this case? All right, guys, I'm going to leave you this question now, and we're going to come back to it. We're going to return throughout the presentation, and we're going to comment some very important aspects and some very important points where the margin engine can further improve your ways of dealing with the questions such as this. All right, let's keep it very practical. If you had invested all your available funds of $1,000 in a stock like Tesla, and your position is already in profit, but you still haven't liquidated this position, so that profit is still not realized, and you see a great opportunity to invest, to open a new position in Apple's, but all your available funds have been invested in Tesla. All right. So if you guys want, you can also send your proposed answers in the chat. We'll discuss that later on in the presentations, and we'll also discuss how this new engine allows us to deal with it in a more beneficial way, in a more sophisticated way, in a way that will further improve the way that your strategy will bring you better results. All right, guys? So what could you do in these situations? Make sure you send us the questions, the answer to this question in the chat. We'll definitely check it, all right? We'll discuss it further on in the presentation. So now I'm going to share with you guys my screen with the platform, so that you guys can know the step-by-step, in details of how to enable, for those of you who haven't done yet, enable the margin engine in your platform, and the major overall details. All right, guys? So give me a second here. I'll share my screen with you guys. Just a moment. So for those of you guys that still haven't configured their platform, in the margin trading engine, you will be accustomed to see the platform, to seeing platform in the way it is right now. All right. So the old engine, the old platform, the old model of approaching the issues is you would put the amount directly here. Now with the margin engine, as you will see, this will change. Now, first of all, first things first, how do I enable the margin engine in my account? You will do so by coming here on settings in this little gear on the bottom right corner of your screens. You will click on settings, all right? You will click on trading on this tab right here. Here you will see this checkbox to enable the margin trading on your platform. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and click here. You will automatically see that the system will already give you a tutorial video with the overall details regarding the margin engine. Now, here I highly recommend everyone also, whenever you have some times, watching this tutorial, watching the other tutorials that are available in your account. On the left corner of the account, all right, of the platform, you'll be able to see several tutorials on basic steps, on all the tools that are available, on all the instruments that can be dealt with within the platform. We highly recommend, all right, just whenever you wanna learn about an instrument that you're not really sure about, we highly recommend you watching the tutorials. They are very basic, step-by-step videos made by people who have deep knowledge in the platform for you that are starting, all right, guys? So you can trust these tutorials. Highly recommended. Now I'm gonna close here. You guys will already notice that many things have changed here. Many of the boxes have changed. You know, the overall layout has changed a little bit. What you will notice is that we're no longer dealing with the amount, but we're dealing here with volume of the trade that you want to open. Volume, which for forex, which is the currency, the instrument that we have right now, is measured in lots. All right, guys. You'll see also that here displayed, you'll see the Pip value. Now the Pip value, when we're talking about lots, we're talking about volume of trade. When we're talking about Pip value, we're talking about the actual amount that you will win by the variation of the currency, of the price. All right, guys? So here on the quantity, you'll be able to change. All right, you can select for forex. Again, we're dealing with lots. If you want to trade in another instrument further on, we can comment on that. Let's keep it very simple, very basic for now. All right, so we'll be dealing with forex only in this presentation in order to keep things simple. But overall, as a rule, you know, don't forget that this kind of measurement, lot, is only applicable for forex. All right, if you're going to deal with other instruments such as stocks, such as commodities, the way that you're measuring the transactions, the little nuance, the details might change. All right, guys? If you have any doubt, also check our tutorials over a particular instrument that you want to invest in. All right, guys? Make sure you check, you train with your balance account. That's what your balance account is made for. All right, guys? So let's proceed. As I mentioned here, now the logic behind the margin engine will change in comparison with the old engine. Now, the major thing that you have to decide is the quantity that you're investing. For the sake of being simple here also, I'm gonna select a whole lot. All right, guys? So you can see the difference more clear whenever I change the quantities that I want to invest. Now, whereas here you're changing the quantity that you want to invest, all right? In the old platform, you used to change the amount that you were investing. So here, what will happen is you'll change the quantity that you want to invest. In this case, as we're talking about forex, you're selecting lots, all right? And the system will automatically give you the amount that will be held in the platform as collateral, as margin, all right? So we'll see the amount that will come out of your balance and that will be held by the platform as a collateral. This amount doesn't represent the whole transaction. This is only a fraction of the transaction, all right? As I mentioned before, the whole idea with the margin engine is that you can invest larger contracts with lower capital, all right, guys? So you can further explore your transactions, all right? With smaller capital, you can invest higher volumes and get higher results, all right, guys? So here you'll see the margin, which will be the amount putting down as collateral in case the transaction doesn't go according to planning. All right, guys? You will be able to choose here if you are opening a transaction with market price or with the chosen price. All right? So if you want to change this, this will mean that the transaction will be automatically opened once the market reaches the determined price. All right. For the sake of being simple, all right, guys, since this is a presentation only about some basic aspects, let's keep it simple. We're going to go with market price, which is the normal usual transaction that a trader would do. All right. Once you get more skilled, once you learn more about the platform, once you're more secure, you think you know more about how the positions are that you're opening are going, how the instruments work, we highly recommend you also trying new nuance, new details, trying new experience. When you do so, if you're not sure about what you're doing, make sure you ask us, come on support and ask us through chat and ask us. Try on your trial balance, all right? So for the sake of keeping things simple right now, let's select this first transaction that we're going to open, market price, all right, guys? So as you hover your mouse through the buy, if you want to go long, or through the sell, if you want to go short, you'll be already able to see the overall details, all right, a summary of the transaction that you're just about to open in the margin engine, all right? So you'll be able to see the open price of the transaction that you're just about to go in, the quantity of lots in this case, yet again, we're talking about forex, of the transaction that you're going to go in, all right? The Pip value, which is basically the amount that you'll get if the Pip goes up or down, all right? If the price goes up or down. So in this case, $10 for one whole lot that we're negotiating, all right? Let me remind you again that we're negotiating one whole lot of this particular currency. All right, guys? So you'll be able to see the margin, which, as I mentioned, is the amount that you have to put down as collateral that the platform will put down as collateral for the transaction that you're just about to open. Now, for those of you who aren't very accustomed to the terminology, as we go along the presentation, you will further understand, and realize what does it mean to put down an amount as collateral. I think whenever we reach the practical examples, you will be able to understand. But for now, let's just say that the margin that you're being levied out of a transaction is the amount that is being put down as collateral for the transaction by the platform. All right, all right, guys? Now, you will be able also to see the leverage involved in the transaction. A major functionality also of the margin engine, as we'll see further on in the presentation, is that you are able to change this, all right? You are able to change this by changing the transaction's expiration, all right? So you are able to further, to further go into nuance, to further specify the exact details of the transaction, of the position that you're just about to open, which is very important as you go along and as you become more mature, as a trader. You will be able to change the leverage. You will be able also to see here on the summary the cost of the spread of the transaction that you're just about to go in, and any eventual swap fees. What are swap fees for those of you who aren't accustomed to the terminology? Swap fees are the overnight fees that might be applicable if you keep a transaction open overnight, all right? What are those fees? What is it going to be levied? you can hover your mouse here above the interrogation sign, and you will see all the applicable swap fees, also known as overnight fees. All right, guys? So now that we talked about some major details of how to open a position in the margin engine, let's go ahead and open a position. All right? To see, you click here. In this case, I'm buying. All right, I'm going long. I think that the market will go up. Just as I open the position, let's open another one, and let's say a short position also, so you guys can see. Just as I open the positions, you guys that are accustomed to the old platform, to the old way of seeing things, you already see some major differences here. One of them, where you used to be able to see your balance here, now you're seeing the available margin, all right, which is the amount that you will be able to reinvest. Now, this will be calculated on the fly by the system according to your balance and to your open transactions. If you click here on portfolio, the system is already calculating. You will also be able to see here all the major details of the transactions that are opened, of the positions that are opened at the moment, all right, such as the quantity. On this case, for instance, I have 2 long positions, all right, so it will show me the individualized positions here if I click on this arrow. And if I click back, it shows me a summary of all the long positions I have in this particular asset, which is Euro US dollar, all right, guys? So on this case, for instance, it will show the margin that has been held as a collateral for this transaction, this one in particular. It will show the quantity, the volume, all right, that I've of the transaction that I've opened. It will show the open price, the price that was applicable to that particular asset in the moment that I entered the transaction, and it will show the current price, all right, guys, which is the price right now. With these details, the platform will automatically calculate the net profit or loss of this particular transaction, and of all the transactions that are opened at that moment. All right, guys? And with this information, the system will automatically also readjust the available margin. Now, the available margin is the amount that you'll be able to reinvest. Now, I want to already talk with you guys a little bit about the question that I asked earlier about, reinvesting some funds. Whenever you have unrealized profit, let's say here, the platform is already assessing them in the amount that's available to you to reinvest. So you guys see more or less where we're going? Whenever you have a position that is open, the system will automatically tell, on the fly, that you are having a position that is on profit at that particular moment, and thus it will increase your available margin proportionally in a manner that you can already reinvest that unrealized profit. All right, guys? So a couple of more details here that is interesting for you guys to know. You can set as usual, most of you guys are already used to take profit or stop loss orders, that you can adjust in your particular orders. Now, once the order is open, you can also add a take profit or a stop loss. All right, guys? Unless it's a particular case, which happened right here, that the take profit is closer to the current price than allowed. All right. Let's see if it will allow me here. There you go. So while the position is still open, you can tamper with this little details also, all right? You can adjust, you can set a take profit or a stop loss detail in the order that is open. All right, guys? So basically, this is it, guys. We just opened our first position here with the margin engine. I think it's pretty clear for you guys you know, the major details and differences here from the dispositions that we opened compared to the old system, to the old platform. All right. So you will be able to see here the quantity, whereas in the old engine, you would see the amount that you're investing, you will see the Pip value, you will see the margin, all right, which are the amounts that we already spoke about. I will proceed now to close these positions that we just opened. There we go. Let me share with you guys the presentation again. All right. And let's press on. All right, guys. If you guys have any doubts so far, let me remind you again, make sure you write your questions down in the chat. We'll select the ones that, you know, most people are asking, or the ones that are more interesting, and we'll make sure to address them all at the end of the presentation. All right, guys? So make sure you don't forget your questions. Very important questions. Also, if you have any feedbacks on the presentation, there's something you believe that wasn't explained in the most correct manner, please make sure send us. We love to get feedbacks here at IKEA, all right, guys, to improve overall the services that we're offering to you. We're all about making our trading experience better. All right, guys? So let's press on. Now let's go back to the question that I introduced earlier, right, guys? So ask yourself, if you had invested all your available funds of $1,000 on a stock like Tesla, and your position is already in profit, but at the same time you spot a great opportunity to invest in Apple's, but since you already opened the position in Tesla, now you're out of funds. Now let's remember again, with the old platform, with the old engine, whenever you have an open position, if you want to reinvest any eventual winnings that you have in that position, you need to liquidate that position. You need to close that position so that the funds are reassessed into your balance so that you can reinvest that into opening a new position. Now with the margin engine, it lets you go further. It makes things way simpler. The platform will already recognize that you have an unrealized profit, and it will already offer you that extra amount into extra margin, all right? Proportional to what you have in unrealized profits. All right, guys? So what would you do in this situation? As we mentioned, you bought 1,000 of Tesla. Now let's say you have 1,000 profit. Now this is unrealized profit, guys. You saw that the market was going up. You saw that according to the price that you bought and the price that is already right now, there is a gap, and that gap represents unrealized profit. You still haven't closed the transaction because you think within your strategy that the prices might continue to go up. So you don't want to lose that opportunity. But you already see another opportunity. What did you do? Within the margin engine, you can relocate this unliquidated profit, this unrealized profit, into a new transaction. All right? You don't have to pay more fees to open a new position. All right, guys? New spreads. You can direct that unrealized profit to a new position, all right, guys? To a new position that will eventually, if your strategy works, gives you even more profit, all right, guys? Now, we're going to talk a little bit about risks and how to mitigate risks and strategies regarding risks. You know, as I've mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, whenever you're trading, it's very important, it's vital, it's paramount to have a risk strategy, you know, to know what you're doing, to know what you do when the situation doesn't go according to plan. Now, right now I invite you guys to ask yourselves, in an unpredictable market condition, where do you exit your trade? Now, with the new margin engine, it will give you some tools to better assess this kind of questions and to better solve this type of issues. All right, guys? Now, let's say, for instance, with hedging. Hedging is one of the situations, one of the strategies in which our margin engine will give you better tools. In what sense? All right, the committed margin stays at 50% when you hedge with forex. All right, guys. So what this will mean in practical terms, this sounds very abstract. So let's put it down, to earth. In practical terms, we put it down. We put an example here to you guys. You can see a market that's behaving in a bullish trend. All right. So here, for instance, within my strategy, let's say I wanted to go long, to open a buying position, all right? So I buy 20 lots and I put down 4,000 as margin, all right, guys? It's within my strategy because I think the market will go up. I buy 20 lots and I hope that the price will go up so that I can sell them once it reaches my program price, and I will make profit out of it. All right, guys? The market goes up after I buy the asset, and I already have some unrealized profit, some unliquidated profit. The position is still open. But once the market reaches a determined level here, it starts to go a little bit choppy, starts to behave in an unexpected way. And I have already unrealized profit and I'm worried about it because I risk now losing it. What do I do? What do I do to safeguard it? In the old engine, the logic would be close the position, realize the profit, all right? Now, you are able to hedge this with no additional cost by using the hedging strategy in the margin engine. Now, why is it so? Because the committed margin stays at 50% when hedging with forex, guys. Now, as we can see here, we've opened an opposite transaction, a transaction in an opposite direction, a short position, all right, of the same amount once the market started going choppy, all right, which will safeguard, which will hedge my position of buying, of going long. All right, guys? Now, as I mentioned, the first transaction, I had to put down 4,000 as margin. All right, guys? So in the second transaction, logic would be that I would have to put down another 4,000 as margin. But the platform, the system automatically interprets that you're entering a hedge position, and it will only require you 50% of the margin in comparison to what you would need in an exact same transaction whenever you're hedging. So the system will automatically, interpret that you're entering a hedge position, and it will only require you half of what it would have if this tool doesn't exist. Now, what you can see here is that I've opened 2 positions, and it has only charged me with half of the margin. All right, I have 2 positions. Now, the first position, I had to put down as collateral 4,000 as margin. And as I've opened the second position of the same amount, I've only had to put down again 4,000, all right? Because the tool, the platform interprets your transactions in a smart way. It interprets that both of these transactions are correlated, and they're made to decrease your risk, thus decreasing the amount of collateral that is necessary to open these positions. All right, guys? So this is a major advancement because it allows you to free more capital, right? To free more capital to be used as margin to open new position, to open new transactions. All right, guys? So let's press on. Here you have an example with stocks, all right, guys? So yet again, my strategy here is to buy stocks from Mercedes because I believe from my interpretation, from my strategy, that the market will go up. All right, guys? Now, as the market reaches a certain level, a certain amount here, a certain value, it starts to go choppy, you know, it starts to behave a little erratically. And I want to hedge this position, just as the previous example. But with the difference that now we're talking about stocks. You know, when we're talking about stocks, the committed margin will drop to 25%. So the amount that you need to put down as collateral, that the tool, that the platform will demand you to put down as collateral, will decrease. All right? Therefore, increasing the available capital that you'll have to reinvest. All right? So if you had your position, you will actually be free in margin. You'll be free in capital to open new positions, to reinvest this. All right, guys? Do you see how beneficial this is? This will happen with some of the instruments, all right? Stocks, cryptos, commodities, and exchange traded funds. So with stocks, cryptos, commodities, and exchange traded funds, whenever you hedge a position, the necessary margin that is required by the system will decrease, thus increasing the total capital that you have to open new positions, to reinvest, to diversify your portfolio, you know, to further spread your strategy, to have a more intelligent approach to the market. All right, guys? So let's continue. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about some cases in which the platform will close automatically your transactions. Now, everyone here that is used to the old platform, to the old instruments, will already remember, you know, take profit and stop losses orders. Now, this is something you can configure whenever you open a transaction, whenever you enter a position, you know, whenever the tool, these are details that be configured so that the tool will close the transaction upon a determined threshold so that it liquidates the position and it gives you a determined profit, all right? Here in the margin engine, you will be able to do this also, all right? In this case, we're talking about crypto, all right? So always, guys, the take profit or the stop loss will be configured, you know, generally in the same amount as you will see here. In this case, we're talking about cryptos, so it's point values. You will have to also set the take profit or the stop losses orders at points. All right, guys, also. So this is nothing new. All right, guys, for those of you who are already used to the tool. Now, what will happen differently, yet again, when prices reach your stop loss or take profit orders? But now, with the margin engine, we have what we call a margin level, all right? So this is basically a number that shows a correlation between your margin and your equity, all right, guys? So whenever your equity, guys, let's remember, is always changing, all right? Because your open transactions, the equity that is being changed is automatically being transferred to the available margin. Whenever your margin level reaches 100%, you will receive a notification from the platform, all right, saying that you cannot open further transactions. And whenever this margin level drops below 50%, the system, as a protection to your capital, will automatically start closing down your heavier positions. All right, guys? So margin level, let's say, you know, to keep it simple, let's say it's a overall health of the account. All right, guys? It shows, you know, how much your equity is capable of paying out, let's say, the margin that has been put aside, you know, as a collateral for the transactions. All right, guys? So we'll further talk a little bit about margin level now. Now, this is something very important. Once you start trading with the margin engine, you will notice that by clicking here, you will no longer be able only to see only your balance, which was the case with the old platform. Now, once you click there in the arrow, it will reveal the account's health stats. It will reveal its details, all right? So it will show the margin level, all right? It will show your total equity at that point, which will be changing according to your net profit or loss. It will show you your balance, all right? It will show the margin that you have already put down as collateral. It will show you any investments. Now, it's very important that we talk about this also. What does the system interpret as an investment? Now, most tools, most instruments will operate according to the margin logic, all right, from now on, if you configure the margin engine in your account. Some of the instruments that are available will continue to operate according to the old logic, all right, guys, such as, let's give two examples here, binary options and digital options. For those investments, for those instruments, whenever you open a position with those instruments, the system will interpret that as an investment, and this will be assessed here under the investment line whenever you click on the arrow here in your account. All right, guys? And here the net profit and loss already also of the transactions, guys. As I mentioned here, you will see the total available margin to reinvest in new transactions. All right, guys? Now, the equity that the system is revealing here on this summary of your account's health is nothing more, nothing less than the balance, all right, summed or with the gross profit or loss that you have at that particular instance. As I've said, the tool now, the platform is automatically calculating your net profit or loss at that particular moment on the fly, and is assessing that and is transmitting that information to ultimately give you the amount that you have to reinvest in that moment, all right? You don't have to liquidate all your positions now to know exactly how much you have to reinvest in other positions, which is something that makes you go further that makes your strategies more dynamic, which enables you to go to open more positions and to be more in control of the overall situation, the overall level, of risk that you're taking in your account. All right, guys? Now, what the system means when it says equity here is nothing more but your balance summed to the gross profit or loss minus any swap fees, any overnight fees. All right, guys? Now, the margin level that we were talking about is equity times margin as a percentage. What do I mean by that? Is your equity, all right, which is your balance, plus or minus your net losses or profits, minus any swap fees, divided by the margin times 100, which means as a percentage, all right? So what does it mean in practical terms? Basically, it means how many times your equity would be able to stand by the margin that has already been compromised in the platform to open positions. All right, guys? And this is displayed as a percentage. So it's basically equity divided by margin times 100, what you can see here. So here on this hypothetical situation, we have a really good margin level of 1,433%, all right? Which basically means that you have enough equity to pay for 143 times the margin that you have already used, all right, that you have already put down as collateral. Now, as I mentioned, your equity will change according to your open positions. Thus, your margin level will change according to your open positions. All right, guys? So it's very important that you keep an eye on this. Very important detail, very important, information that you have to keep a track on. All right, guys? Now, as I mentioned before, there is an observation here that you will be able to see also in the platform, that positions will start to be closed once your margin level reaches a risky level, which is 50%, all right? The system will automatically start to close your heavier positions, your bigger positions, to better safeguard your account, It's a risk avoiding instrument that is automatically configured in the platform. All right, guys, you don't even have to worry about it. It works automatically in your favor. All right. Now I'm gonna share with you guys again my platform. Just a moment. So guys, as I mentioned also, another detail that you can change in this new perspective, in the new analysis, in the new logic that is allowed by the margin engine, is the expiration time, all right? By changing the expiration time in a given transaction, you will be able to tamper with, to change the applicable leverage that is being applied in a determined transaction. All right, guys? How is this beneficial? Now we know that a lot of users, a lot of traders like to trade with small amounts. If this is the case, if this is your sort of strategy, you will find this possibility very interesting. Why is that so? Because now, whereas in the old engine, the minimum amount that you needed to invest was $1 or the corresponding amount in the currency. Now, depending on the leverage that you're using, the minimum amount with which you can enter a transaction is way smaller. Here, for instance, you will be able to enter a transaction in this example that I've just configured here by putting down as collateral a margin of only 8 cents. It's way, way smaller. So if it's within your strategy to operate, to open positions with small amounts, this is a major advancement also, right? So as I mentioned here, you can change this. Of course, the system will automatically give you the available options. Not all options will be available for all instruments at all times, all right? So the system will calculate that and it will give you the available options for that determined asset, underlying asset at a particular time that you check it. So now here, let's say if I choose an expiration time, it will already give me the overall details of the transaction according to all that details that we already discussed. All right, guys. So this is a major advancement if your trading strategy is to negotiate with small amount. All right, guys. Now let's go back to the presentation. Just a moment. while I share my screen with you guys. Do you guys have any doubt? Remember, any doubts? Don't forget to write them below. We'll address them, all the questions in the end, you know, if we have some time. So guys, pressing on, after going into, you know, the expiration times and how this can be a valuable asset if you're negotiating with small amounts, how this can change and upgrade your trading strategy. All right, that's basically it, guys. I think there's much more to be said about the margin engine, all right, guys? But we try to make this presentation as simple as possible, you know, down to earth. So those of you who are not accustomed to it can see the small nooks and crannies, the small details that are really important in this new way of seeing things, in this new platform, in this new system, you know, that allows you to think about trading strategies through a different perspective. All right, guys, through a perspective that can be more elaborate, that can be more efficient. All right, guys. Now, just let's just do a summary of everything we saw. So basically, facts regarding overall details of margin trading. All right. First of all, availability. Normally, with most instruments, Monday to Friday, 24/5, all right? For crypto, since the crypto market never stops, 24/7, all right, guys? So this means for most instruments that are negotiated, you will be able to negotiate using the margin engine from Monday to Friday, all right? 24 hours a day. For crypto, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all right? Since the crypto market never stops. Specific characteristic of cryptos for those of you whose portfolio strategy embraces having cryptos, all right? Special feature, profit reinvestment. Not only profit, unrealized profit, all right? Not only unrealized profit, you are able to keep the position that generated the profit still open. So whereas in the old engine, the old mentality, you had to liquidate a position in order to make that balance available, in order to reinvest it, here you can keep a potentially still more profitable position open, and you can already turn that unrealized profit into more positions that will be able to give you even more unrealized profit, hypothetically. All right, guys? So this is something that allows you to go further with the investable capital. Whenever you're opening hedging positions to protect any eventual positions in the margin engine, the amount that you have to put down as collateral to open that particular position will decrease compared to a normal position that you would open, all right? So the tool is smart. It senses that you're opening a position to mitigate your risk, and thus it allows you to put only half of the amount whenever you're dealing with FX as collateral, all right, guys? And with other instruments, only 25%. So it's even more beneficial. You get to choose different expiry times, so you get higher leverage with expiry time, all right, guys? So as I mentioned, this can be really interesting depending on your particular trading strategy, on your personal trading strategy. Now, if you have any doubts on that, you know, please come and send us some questions. We'll be able to discuss it also with you. And possible profit or loss. The profits are unlimited for this type of instrument, and the losses are only the capital that has been invested. Yet again, guys, it's never enough to remind you guys that it's very important to have a risk strategy whenever you're trading, all right? So never forget, before you do anything, think about the risks. Think about if that fits within your risk strategy, all right, guys? That's a really good way to keep your transactions going on the long run and to keep them profitable. All right, guys? Now, the leverage that is being offered in the platform for the margin engine up to 500 times, all right, guys, for currencies. And if you change the expiration, up to 1,000 times, all right, guys? This will also affect fundamentally your trading strategies, and this will be something that you will be able to incorporate into your strategies to make them more successful, all right, guys? Now, the assets that can be negotiated with the margin engine, with the margin perspective, all right? Forex, stocks, commodities, cryptocurrencies, and exchange traded funds, all right, guys? So that was all, guys. I hope it helped you guys clarifying some of the doubts. I hope you guys can understand now what are the major differences. And now we'll take some time to check out some of the questions that have arisen throughout the presentation. All right, guys. Just a moment while I go through the questions. Now, Pavan Mohandas from Pavan, I think you're from India, right? Asks, I don't have any experience in Forex. Do you know any good strategies? Good question, Pavan. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, our objective here in IQ Options is to present you guys with a better platform, and to always improve the quality of the trading instruments that we're delivering to you. In line with that overall strategy, now we'll be presenting more often webinars, among which we're planning to make several webinars about trading strategies. So stay tuned, all right, Pavan? Stay tuned, because very soon there will be more webinars, including about trading strategies, all right? Thabo Moss has asked, can you demonstrate how to get there again, all right? I believe you want to know how to enable the margin engine in the tool. All right, I'll share my screen again with you guys, the platform, and I'll show you guys again how to enable the margin tool. All right, guys? Just a moment. All right, guys, so I've disabled here the margin engine on my account, all right? So what you are seeing here is an account that is operating according to the old engine, all right, guys? Now, the first step in order to turn on, in order to activate, in order to transfer, in order to take your platform to the new engine is to click here on this little gear on the bottom right corner of your screen, all right, on settings. As you do, you will see here a bunch of options. You will click on trading, and you will get this checkbox here asking if you want to activate the margin trading in your account. Now, guys, it's very important here to remind you, if you have any open positions, the system won't allow you to change this. And afterwards, whenever you're already negotiated in the margin engine, also, if you want to deactivate it and you have some open positions, the system won't allow you to do so, all right? So you cannot have any active positions. You cannot have any open positions. Before you activate the margin trading, make sure you liquidate, you close all your positions, all right, guys? So once you do, you can only click here, boom, automatically you will be operating according to this new system. All right, guys? Of course, as I mentioned before, make sure you have a couple of moments to watch our tutorial video with all the basics on how to trade with the margin engine. All right, guys? Once you close it, you're already in the margin engine structure, right, guys? So you can just go ahead and start trading according to all the details that I mentioned with all the peculiarities, with all the details. All right, guys? Just a moment. Let me see if there's another question. All right. Giorgio Alex Stabilo has asked here, what is a margin? As I mentioned before, it is the amount of funds that you have on your account in order to and keep your position open, all right? Is the amount held as collateral, in other words, all right? Now, we have an interesting question here also from Nursi Devi. Nursi Devi is asking, what platform did crypto work? Nursi, you can trade cryptos with your margin trading engine, all right? You can also trade cryptos without the margin trading engine by enabling and disabling the margin trading. Just make sure all your positions are closed first, all right? This is what I just mentioned. The system will not allow you to migrate from one system to the other if you have any open positions, if you have any unliquidated positions, all right? Oh, I have a good one here from Paul Abdallah. Can you please explain the higher leverages with expiry time? All right, Paul, when you trade with expiry time, our platform offers you higher leverages to take advantage from, as I mentioned, all right? So you can tamper with these little details, which means in practical terms, down to earth, higher leverage, lower amounts needed to invest, which means movements will make bigger impacts. You can make more by compromising less capital. All right, Paul? We also have a question here from Masouf, which I think will be quite interesting for everyone. Can IQ give big withdrawals? Masouf, our objective here is that you have a great trading strategy, a great trading overall experience. If you are successful in your transactions, it is our pleasure to pay you whatever your winnings are, all right? So of course, we have over 50 million traders trading with us, all right? If this whole amount of people didn't trust us, do you think they would keep on trading with us? IQ has a name to keep on the market, all right? So I guess that's it for now, guys. If you have any other outstanding questions, make sure to contact us via support. We'll be more than happy to assist you guys in clarifying anything that was left. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be with you here, guys. All right. Hope to see you guys very soon in another webinar to talk about some new and interesting subjects, to talk about some trading strategies, to talk about some new features of our platform. All right, you guys, stay tuned. Make sure you're always checking your account for new. Make sure you're always checking your email, whenever we send you a webinar invitation. And stay safe, guys. All right, see you guys.